Dave Richards, Hollybrook Road, Paramus. Just a comment on the pool. My wife and I went here, Richard, and the lady says no, you have to go to the rec department. And it was kind of annoying because the email said we can do it here, but she said no, you had to go to the rec department. And we go to the rec department and says, oh, you could have done it here. She won't let us do it here. I'm just letting you know. And it wasn't, we weren't the first. It was apparently, he said it was 5 other people had to go to the rec department, which is not easy to find. I mean, it's easy to find the building, but the door's not marked. It doesn't say rec department. It's just a door. I'm just letting you know. So, back in March of last year, I came to the council meeting and I asked the council about how much on the taxes, how it's a split between residential and commercial, and you said that the mayor said it was 50-50. So I went to the assessor department and he said, no, it's 60-40, 60% is paid by the residents. And also informed me that Valley Hospital is tax exempt, they don't pay any taxes. So, which is kind of disturbed me. So on April 22nd, I came back to the council and I mentioned that zip code 07652 generates over $6 billion in annual retail sales, the highest of all zip codes in the United States, the highest. I informed the mayor that maybe to help split the tax burden, that we should try to balance the mill rate. So increase the mill rate for the commercial property. And the mayor said that's not going to happen. So I did an open request for the police call to service for 2024. And in 2024, there was 66,170 calls to service. 58 of them were for commercial related. And I didn't know this one. There was 2 homicides in 2024. I didn't know anything about that. There was no press. There was 2 homicides.
No press. It was on the cover of the record for.
Yeah, the records. I mean, it's almost non-existent now. So
what other press do you want?
So I'm asking the council again, based on the information I told you, would you consider raising the mill rate on commercial property to balance it out?
So, thank you for coming. Obviously, this is a good forum. I will say though, I don't appreciate you putting words in my mouth because I probably not going to happen. It's not.
Well, you said no. It's not
vocabulary. It was reminded, right? I remember a little bit of that conversation. We spoke with the borough attorney as far as assessing properties at a different value. That was advised that it's
the rate is set. You can't have a different rate charged to commercial properties than you do to residential properties. It's illegal and improper in New Jersey.
Well, when I lived in West Milford, that was not the case. Okay.
Maybe it's changed since then.
Anybody that lived on the water paid a higher mill rate. So
we looked at that, and also to your point of assessed value and which property, So as of 2026, residential properties make up 56% of Paramus's assessed value, and commercial makes up about 43. So we were at 56 to 43, and that's just market dynamics, right? I mean, drive through Route 17, Route 4. You've been in town a while, I'm assuming. Commercial properties were probably more vibrant than they are today, right? Retail is different.
It's just the cost, sharing the cost. That's what I was trying to get at. That they don't pay their fair share.
Well, they don't send kids to school either, right? So there's.
Either do I.
Yeah.
But you did,
I never did. My kids went to school someplace else.
Okay, but the point being is a huge drive to Paramus being a destination town. Prior to me, long after me, will be what's the word I'm trying to use? The vibrancy of our commercial corridors. That is why you pay one of the lowest tax rates in all of North Jersey for the value of your home. Is not only good government from Board of Ed and here, but having vibrant commercial corridors, because out of that 43%, if that number increases and those properties are valuable or increase in value, that'll help eat up the burden on our residential properties. So, this is 56 to 43. I could almost guarantee you in the retail's heyday of the 80s and 90s, that was probably flipped, right? Because why? A retail property, which are assessed at their income as well, correct? Is part of their formula where they show how much they're making via sales, etc., rent was higher than it is today. So that's to say they're not paying their fair share. Yeah, I guess you can always make the debate. They don't use this, or they get calls for that. But then there's always the opposite of the services that they don't use. DPW doesn't pick up their garbage. They obviously don't send kids to school. So there's always that debate. But as far as I'm concerned, as the mayor and the governing body, is we have to lay out plans. We have to be a town that's open for business. So these commercial corridors are vibrant. Route 17 and Route 4, the Parkway, they're here, right? They've been here for over 100 years, right? So we want to make sure that Costco comes in, right? We want to make sure that new restaurants come in, things like that. Our malls are heavy with traffic. That's important to why Paramus is a destination town, why $1 million assessed home in Paramus pays less than $15,000 when in Ridgewood you're paying $30,000, right? Why? Because of
Rate
vibrancy,
They're rated.
right? So yeah.
But it's interesting to say that there was a reporter, Megan Kane, that published this article after you passed the budget in July of last year, and she quoted, "To boost revenue, the council wants a larger share of the taxes to come from the businesses instead of homeowners." It actually says right here. So I know, but it doesn't say how you're doing it.
What do you mean, like how we're doing that?
How you
You're
gonna
doing
make-
it not. You're not taxing them at a different rate. You're bringing in vibrant businesses.
Yeah, but okay.
Because you're not allowed to tax them at a different rate. I think the borough attorney.
I just know how it was. Okay, maybe the law changed, but so this is the letter we all got from you for our taxes, and it's showing the mill rate 1.49. It's telling what a great job you guys are doing. But this number,
And the Board of Ed as well.
the Board of Ed, you can't vote on the budget. We can vote on the budget in here. We can talk about the budget. The Board of Ed, you can't vote on the budget. You used to be. You can't vote on the budget.
Right, but you do vote for the trustees.
I know, but you can't vote for the board.
Well, you don't vote on our budget either.
The change with Christie. Christie changed that. But this 1.49 mill rate, it's really, to me, not accurate because this number is going down because you're reassessing all of our property every year. Assessments go up, mill rate goes down.
Right.
So,
And what does that also have the effect of? Bringing
I
back
pay-
the
I pay-
commercial properties to where they were pre-COVID.
I know.
And they went down substantially during COVID years, and because of the rolling reassessments, we're bringing them back up.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because my house is only 12 years old, okay? But houses that have been here for 30, 40 years, they don't pay their fair share of taxes. Their assessments are way low. A house down my street, on Evans Street, it's assessed at 400 and change. It just sold for $800,000.
So it just sold, right?
Yeah.
Right, so
It was assessed at 400,000. But I'm saying this number is going to go down every year. We get reassessed. My taxes go up $1,000 each year because of this, because the reassessment.
Well, don't forget, part of your taxes are 45% of it is Board of Ed, about 31% is here. And so there's three governing bodies.
The Board of Ed's budget is $113 million, and I know what and it's
Right.
cost. I think it's $19,000 or $22,000.
So I'm
per
just
student.
there's
just
a time limit. Is there like a specific question? Or
Well, I'm just
kind
saying this mill rate goes down because the assessments go up. I don't think we should get assessed every year. I think we should get assessed every 5 years. That's all. You know,
That's
like,
that's a
and then-
fair point that I'm glad you
yeah. And
came
then
to discuss.
but the controlling, I'm always interested about the bills, and there's for some reason, I don't know why this, you got 37 attorneys and law firms who receive a retainer. 37. Yes, I did an open request. I got it right here.
They don't get
37.
They don't get retainers.
Well, the budget is $1,145,000.
That's not.
I know it's not
No, but
retainers.
that's not retainers. That,
No, but some.
Well, if you know, then why do you ask?
No, but I'm saying
All
the
respect,
resolution
but you tell me
shows
I don't understand.
certain law firms get retainers. I just don't understand why
They don't get retainers. That is an incorrect statement.
It says it in the
That
minutes.
is an incorrect statement, sir. That is incorrect. So you could come up here and say you know, but you do not know because that is an incorrect statement. They are not on retainer. Okay? They're not on retainer. That is incorrect. Okay? Do you have a question? Do you have a pothole on your street? Do you have a tree that needs to be trimmed?
Well, when I did the open request, the borough asked me, because I asked for who gets a retainer, and they wanted to know when on the not the budget, but when on the council meetings did it mention it? Because it said it's easier to find that way. I can't find it because it's impossible to read this budget because it's not a pure PDF. I mean, I brought that up last year. You can't search anything. It's impossible to search anything. I can't go and find and put anything in there because it won't search it. It's not a pure PDF. It's a scanned copy. So I can't search it. So it's really very tedious to try to find anything. You know, so it would be much easier if the budget was a pure PDF. That I can go in there and scan it. I can just go in there and hit find, and it'll find what I'm looking for. Thank you.